Welcome to Modern Bok. So, it's been a disappointing weekend for us. We have to endure 2 weeks now to wait until we can see if we can recover ourselves. And you know, South African fans, it's now the end until we win again. But it is true, you're only as good as the last game, and that was a shocking performance. There's no way to put it sideways, no way to put it nicely. Shocking. So, where do we go from here? Let's discuss that. Where do we go from here? Let's go look at the pros first, then we can go to the negatives. It's just a little bit longer. So, pros, some interesting, quality performances from our substitutes. For example, in the scrums, we really did some stunning stuff in the second half to neutralize the Argentinian scrum, which has to be commended, and also needs to maybe be considered when it comes to let's not start that way, because in the first half we were shocked by their scrums, which is a complete contrast to Durban the week before, and that's something we need to figure out why. That consistency is just not there, and we've seen it throughout the year actually, the consistency in the scrums, and how the second half our scrums have been consistently strong. And there's simple reason for that. Volkolo and Steven Kitshoff have really had stunning results when it comes to covering scrum. They stabilize it exceptionally well. Not only do they not lose scrums, they can often get penalties, but you can just see the scrum is substantially more stable, which helps with delivering the ball to Faf, helps delivering it to the back line, and everything just goes a lot smoother, and it becomes another avenue for attack, and did at one point. So that is something we need to praise and understand. Why aren't we using them from the beginning of the game? What is the tactical reasoning behind that? But that is my worry there. Beast needs to worry, and so does Frans Malherbe. I think they both need to worry for their position. They're hotly contested in that situation. Moving on to other pros, there was a little bit of creativity in the backline shown by Willie Leroux, and we need to commend that. But at the same time, he's also one of the biggest cons, in my opinion. He couldn't organize his back three. He is the most experienced of the back three, but yet showed inability to organize them. I'm not sure why, but I felt that was very, very poor, and something he needs to look at. And if he does not look at it, maybe look at moving to less of a leadership role. Otherwise, we need to bring a more experienced, at least replace one of our wings. At this case, it looks like Mapu or Nkosi, replace him with a more experienced wing, just to be able to handle it. Maybe Kombrink, I know he's not in the team right now, but just something in that regard, because we need that. I felt was poor, and it's the same exploit that happened in the England game. Something that really needs to be looked at. Okay, so those are some of the pros. The cons, again, couldn't finish. We just couldn't finish. We spent 20 minutes of the game in their 22, and yet we scored only twice in the second half. Twice in the second half, once in the first half, fine. But effectively, 3 times. But we still had a horrible time scoring tries. If we take that into account, we're playing how the Lions played in Super Rugby, where you have all the ball but no scoring, and it doesn't help anybody. Look what the Crusaders did to them in the final. They just needed 20% of the ball, 30% of the ball, and they scored more tries and killed them. And this wasn't happening exactly, and that's exactly what happened to Argentina. It didn't matter that they didn't have the ball. They still used the opportunities that came to them, and we also let glaring opportunities to do. Similarly to week 1, where we just had a horrible time keeping easy tries out. And that is a massive problem, and we need to figure that out. I'm very worried about the season because of that. Okay, so other problems we had, besides that, Pollard's kicking again wasn't top-notch, but it was better. We need to appreciate that, but unfortunately it's still a major problem, and could have changed the game in the last few minutes if you consider the points on offer were not taken, and would have put us within a try in the last 10 minutes, which is essential for team morale. Something that shouldn't be needed, but could be graciously used. Moving on to this week. I think, actually, hold on. Let me just look at the New Zealand-Australia game. Wow. The Aussies, I feel sorry for them. It sucks to have to start a tournament like that. It sucks. New Zealand, damn. Beauden Barrett, damn. That's all I have to say. Damn. It's a mountain to climb. It reminds me, as a Bok supporter, we must stand tall. I know it's tough. I know it's tough times for us, but true supporters stand with their team. It reminds me of a movie I watched a couple of years ago called Miracle on Ice, or Miracle, following the USA team to compete against Russia in the 70s for the Olympic title of ice hockey. and how Russia dominated for something like 12 to 15 years before and America could not break that. And then all of a sudden, after diligent, consistent training and realizing conditioning it's all about conditioning and heart, they finally took it in the 70s. So it's not over for us South Africans. We've got to understand that this takes time, takes understanding, and every year we're getting better. Look at the fact that we still have, us in New Zealand, still the only teams that get to the final of Super Rugby, so we still have that going for us. We still have power there, and let's face it, this is a building time now. We are finding our game again, and it's all about the World Cup. So this is not the end of the world, it's just a stepping stone. Cool, this week, well, next week. So we've got 2 weeks to rest now, figure out, look at those game tapes, and they're going to have to look hard at them for the Australia game. Sadly, it's away, and as I said last week's video, South Africa, I don't know why South African teams just have a horrible history away. Do we forget how to play rugby there? Do they land on the planes like, ooh, pretty plain, and they just don't know how to do it anymore? I don't know what it is, but it's consistent in Super Rugby. No South African team won in Mendoza or won in Argentina this year against the Pumas, yet, so I mean, it's just, we can't travel. The only team who travelled well this year is the Sharks. So, I don't know what they did, but they travelled well to Argentina. That they also didn't win to Australia and New Zealand, but they didn't travel well to Argentina also. But South African teams just seem to have a horrible time doing that. I don't know what the problem is, I don't know why, but we just can't handle away games. And the World Cup's away, so we need to figure that out now. Australia sets a new set of challenges for us. Argentina is all about passion, it's about heart, and it's about amazing pop game. Australia is a much more calculated and intelligent foe. Not to say that Argentina isn't, I just feel that Australia is more. But one of our biggest saving graces, New Zealand is injured Folau. Israel Folau being out means that I feel a major potent attacking force from the Australian team is reduced. And that will help us a lot. But we still have to be very careful of the fetchers from Australia. Let's face it, they have the best fetchers in the world. And if we don't protect the ball, and you could see it this weekend, we couldn't protect the ball. If we don't protect the ball against Australia, we're out. So that's going to be our first focus, is protecting the ball. Our loose trio needs to flank properly, needs to cover the ball properly like they didn't do this weekend, this previous weekend. So it needs to be done that. Our loose trio was poor and couldn't help on the defensive side and protecting the ball side, and against Australia those are deadly. I feel we at least have it, if we can keep the ball and attack, we should have an easy, which shouldn't be too tough to break their defensive. I think the defensive structures are not that strong, similar problems to ours in my opinion. So that's a problem. That's where we need to see how we can solve those problems. But without Folau, they have a much their potency in the attack is reduced as long as we can keep the ball away from their fetchers. They've got some of the best fetchers. Hooper and Foley are some of the best. And Folau, well, Hooper anyways, were some of the best fetchers in the world. So it's going to be a major problem. Yeah, let's see how it goes. And yeah, so my next thing is Player of the Week. Overall Player of the Week in the whole tournament, is Beauden Barrett by far. He rocked it and showed what a talent he is. Again, New Zealand Dan Carter leaves, and we think we're okay, and all of a sudden they bring Beauden Barrett. So that's a painful one. Well done, New Zealand. Beauden Barrett takes the Player of the Week. South African Player of the Week is a tough one, and I don't think any of them deserve it. So I'm going to hold that off, and we'll see what happens this 2 weeks coming. But at the moment, I don't think anybody deserves it. If anybody kind of deserves it, I'd say Stephen Kitsoff. I felt he at least, along with Vulcolo, stabilised the scrums very well, which helped us, at least in the second half, stage a comeback, although the comeback was never fully staged. Thank you very much, guys. Enjoy Modern Bach. Till next time.